What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to No Life to Metal. Happy New Year, 2024. It's time for my best of 2023 list. That's right, time for my best of 2023 list. Lots of stuff in this list. Lots of stuff came out this year. Tons of underground stuff. Rock, metal, the whole gamut. There was just so many great releases this year, and this list encompasses all that. So I've got everything in here from some of my favorite blues rock albums that came out this year all the way up to death metal. I mean, there's just a whole gamut of stuff. Easily could have done a top 40 list. There's just that many. I made several lists, and I struggled with this thing for a few days, just going through this list of releases and wondering which, what order I put these in. It's almost silly to say, well, I got this one at number 13 and number 12 is one better than number 13. No, they're all great releases. They're all stuff that I listen to a lot, except for maybe my, when you start getting into the top 10, those are the albums I really listen to a lot. Because there are some albums that I just spun ridiculous amounts of times. And if you're friends with me at all on social media, whether it be, Facebook or Instagram or any of those kind of things, you probably won't be too surprised by some of my top 10 lists. But anyhow, let's get right into it. Number 25. This is Angel, Once Upon a Time. Brand new music from these guys. Really enjoyed it. If you like that classic, 70s pop rock that Angel perfected back then, you're not going to be disappointed. It's a little different in that it's obviously it's got the more modern production, more modern recording techniques, but musically it's still very, very good. Of course, you got the the blazing guitar work of Punky Meadows, who is pictured right there, and those signature vocals of Frank Domino. So yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect from Angel. I really enjoyed this album. Why didn't it beat number 25? I don't know, because it's in my top 25. So it's not that it's like I said, I feel bad putting albums at the bottom that I really love, like that one, because it almost seems like, well, that album's not as good as, say, what you have as number 2. No, it's not what it is. It's just, I just made a list and tried to put them in some sort of order. Okay, all right. This is Alice Cooper, Road. Some people seem to love this album. Some people just seem to hate this album. It was a return to a more 70s sound for him, and I enjoyed it. But I am a bit of an Alice Cooper fanatic, so take my opinion with a grain of salt when it comes to that. But I enjoyed this record. I played it quite a bit. My only complaint about the new Alice Cooper album is that it was put out as a 2 LP set as 45 RPM. I get it. It's supposed to have better quality sound. But for the most part, it's kind of annoying to get up to change your album every 3 songs, which is exactly what you got on here. But yeah, great album. Mostly all new material with a cover of Magic Bus from The Who. But if you like Alice Cooper, especially if you like the 70s Alice Cooper, you're probably going to dig this one. If you're into the more glammy 80s style, or the I don't know, even the grungier stuff he did in the 2000s, I don't know if you get into this as much, but I am into all the eras, and I really enjoyed it. So, Alice Cooper, Road. This is Metal Church, brand new album they came out with in 2023. This is a great album. I mean, I played it a lot. I really enjoyed it. New vocalist, obviously, since we lost Mike Howe, but Mark Lopez from Ross the Boss, and gosh, he was in Malaya Rages too, as I recall. But anyhow, he's the new vocalist, but he has this really great voice, not far off from the original vocalist David Wayne. So if you like that early David Wayne material, you may dig this, because he's got that kind of gritty metal voice that that David Wayne possessed, and I really enjoyed it. What can I say? It's Metal Church. If you don't know Metal Church, chances are you're probably not a metal fan. This one's probably a little more obscure, more underground, but this is death metal from Anger Rot. Love the album cover art. Always liked their logo too. It's a little hard to read, but it's not a pile of sticks logo like a lot of these death metal bands have today. Profound Recreant. It is your grunt grind death metal, as I often describe it, but a lot of melody in here, a lot of hooks, great musicianship, fantastic guitar work. You can't go wrong with Anger Rot if you're into death metal, melodic death metal. That Stockholm sound, even. Yeah, it's right up there. Another one that I just played the death out of this year. This is the new Applehead. This is the second album from Applehead. Applehead is basically a solo project of Greg Minier of the Crucified fame. He also put out an album under Minier. But this is his second album. He did one back in the 90s. It was very kind of grungy, organic, hard rock. This one is more of a metal sound, although it's definitely diverse. You know, you got bits of thrash in here, you got bits of hard rock in here. It's really well done, though. The whole thing is just so woven together. I mean, it's just, you know, perfectly woven together like a tapestry. I don't know why or how it works so well when it's got such a diversity to it, but I absolutely adored it. I played it a bunch of times. There's Greg right there. Yeah, it just came out on Rocks Records in 2023, so really good album from them. Next up, number 20. This is number 20. Yeah, I made a list so I wouldn't forget. This is Black Star Riders. This is their 4th album, I believe. Their first album without guitarist Scott Gorham from Thin Lizzy fame. Of course, most people think of Black Star Riders as, you know, being an extension of Thin Lizzy, and that's how they formed. But, you know, they are no longer a Thin Lizzy. They are their own band. They have that sound, though, you know, that Thin Lizzy inspired sound with the dual guitars and the Irish bent to the music, and it's just really well done music. I've enjoyed every single Black Star Riders album. Got to see them live a couple times, and they were great. I was a little worried and bummed when Scott Gorham left the band to focus on Thin Lizzy instead, but regardless, I still found this one to be very enjoyable, and it's in my top 20 for the year. This album's great. I haven't hardly seen anybody show this thing. This album is Joe Perry's Switzerland Manifesto Mark II. Now, he came out with Switzerland Manifesto, I think it was in 2019. Maybe it was 18, I don't know, it was back in the day, a few years ago. Well, this is part 2. Now, part 2, a lot of people think it's the same album, and I did too when I first saw the record came out. I'm like, yeah, finally on vinyl. No, this is actually part 2. So there's 4 tracks on here that are re-recorded from the first one, and then the rest are all new. But this is really, really good. If you like the first 2 Joe Perry Project albums, I recommend this one. I personally think it's better than the stuff Aerosmith has done. It's definitely better than Aerosmith's last studio album, which isn't saying much, but it's just a great hard rock album. Features a lot of guests. I wrote down a few because I was forgetting, but it's got members from Extreme and Cheap Trick. Robin Zander sings a track on here. New York Dolls, the Black Crows. But it's just a really good, solid hard rock album with some fantastic solos from Perry. He really shows what he has on here. I wish the last Aerosmith album would have been as good as this album is, but unfortunately, when you got 5 guys in Aerosmith who can't seem to get along and write songs together, you know, that's what you get. But when you have this one, when you got Joe Perry writing what he wants, you get a solid hard rock record. This one surprised me. Didn't even know it was coming out. Only got it maybe a month ago or less. Haven't even had a chance to take it out of the shrink wrap and put it into a sleeve yet, but I've played it multiple times. This is a new Savage Grace. Now, had I got this a few months ago, it may have been higher on my list because, like I said, I'm really digging this thing. Vocals are fantastic. I don't remember the name of the vocalist to see if there's anything inside to tell me. I do know that the vocalist used to sing for New Eden at one time, but he's got this classic heavy metal voice. Let's see here. Gabrielle Colon. And, of course, you've got Christian Logue on here, who is the original guitar player. But, yeah, this is great speed metal. If you like, straightforward heavy metal, speed metal, think of Judas Priest's Firepower, or, gosh, I'm trying to think of an album that would kind of sound like this one. Early Savage Grace, of course. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just great heavy metal with soaring, clean vocals. This guy could fill in for Rob Halford and Priest if they really needed him to, because he just has that sound, that style, and that power. He's definitely a powerhouse singing vocalist. Anyhow, Savage Grace, the name of the album is Sign of the Cross. Next up, indie release. I don't have the vinyl release. It said it was coming out on vinyl. I haven't seen it released on vinyl, but this is an indie release from Australia called Stone Trip. This is melodic hard rock. I wouldn't call this heavy metal by any extent, stretch of the imagination, but these guys know how to write solid tracks with just big hooks. You want to sing along to these songs. Fantastic production, great guitar work, great guitar solos. Yeah, it's just really good hard rock. If you guys watch the Metal Roundtable, which is the other channel that I'm involved with, we had those guys on live a few times to discuss the album and whatnot. Just a great band and a great album, and one that I spun quite a bit in my car. I don't listen to CDs at home as much as I listen to them in my car, so I'm really hoping this thing gets released on vinyl one of these days. We'll see. The band said it was last year, but I don't know. All right, next up, another one I've only had for a short time, so it may have gone higher in my list had I had it longer, but I've only had it for less than a month. But holy crap, this thing is good. This is Enforced War Remains. This is balls to the wall, jackhammer to the brain, thrash metal. And I mean, if you like the, you know, that, I don't even know how else to say it, but I wanted to play air guitar through the entire album. The first time I played it, I was working and it was just in the background, and I was like, yeah, this is good, I'm digging this, you know, but I wasn't paying 100% attention to it. Next time I played it, I was in my room and I was cleaning up, I was putting records away, and I was playing, I was like, holy crap, those riffs, man. I just started, you know, air guitaring around my room, and, you know, I'm an old guy, and whatever. I still enjoy my music, and if you got the riff work, man, it just evokes that wanting to get out there and just move, because it was so good. Anyhow, a lot of great thrash metal albums this year, as you'll see more in my list, and like I said, this one deserves to be in the top 20. It could even be higher had I had it earlier, but it's a great album. I've seen a lot of other lists that people put out, and this has been on a lot of other people's lists. On some of the thrash metal boards that I'm part of, it's a lot of people have said it's #1 in their lists, so it's that good. All right, next up, switching from thrash metal, we're going way to a different style of music. This is a new album from Robin Trower. You remember Robin Trower from the 70s? The guy was, you know, often called a Jimi Hendrix prodigy. This is just superb, bluesy, hard rock. It's got female vocals by Sari Shore. I was just surprised, you know, that I liked it as much as I did. I mean, I love Robin Trower, and don't get me wrong, especially 70s material. When I get in the mood to hear Robin Trower, I play Bridges Side, all those different albums from the 70s, I play them all the time. I really enjoy them. But some of the stuff after that, I purchased it, I like it, but it never really, like, grabbed me like this album did. I've played this thing multiple times. It's just got such a great sound to it. It's just chock full of emotion. It is one of the best albums Robert Trower has done, probably since Bridge of Sighs. It is just that good. So if you like the old Robin Trower, do yourself a favor, check out the new one, Joyful Sky, Robin Trower. All right, we are at number 14, and I'm cranking through this. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. We'll see. This is Chris Boltondale's Steel Hammer. Another shock. I didn't know anything about this album. My good buddy, the Metal War God, hooked me up with a copy of this, and I was just jaw dropped. I mean, obviously, Chris Boltondale is going to evoke comparisons to Gravedigger, since he's been in Gravedigger since the 80s, and they have, you know, this wealth of fantastic material. But Steel Hammer is just as good as Gravedigger, may be better than some of the later, you know, more recent Gravedigger albums, because it's more focused on just metal. Whereas Gravedigger has always kind of had this theatrical themes, and it's always, you know, very progressive power metal. This doesn't focus on like storylines or, you know, any kind, that kind of thing. It's just metal, and it's really, really well done. Well recorded. His vocals sound fantastic. He sounds as good as he did back in the, you know, the 80s, back in the noise era. So highly recommend this one. I honestly, I just was surprised at how much I liked it. I was expecting for it to be one of those albums that I, you know, picked up, listened to once or twice, put it away, and kind of forgot about. No, it's worth checking out. So Chris Boltondale's Steel Hammer. All right, where are we at here? Number 13. This one is, gosh, I don't want to say it's a letdown because that sounds bad. But this is Sadus, the brand new Sadus, The Shadow Inside. Obviously, it can't be too much of a letdown if it's number 13 on my list and is, you know, ahead of all those other great albums I just showed. My first listen to it, I was disappointed. That's what I'm going to say. I was expecting those artful, driving bass lines that you hear from Sadus. They're not here. It's not that. This is just pure, unadulterated thrash metal, pushing towards, you know, pushing that border towards death metal, but really just keeping one foot firmly planted into thrash metal. I mean, it's great riffing. The vocals sound as good as they ever have. So if you like thrash metal, you'll probably dig this. If you're looking for Sadus of old, I can understand why some people may not dig it. Like I said, it doesn't have that same driving bass guitar sound that you would expect from Sadus. Regardless, like I said, if you like thrash metal, well recorded, great songs, memorable hooks, jackhammer to the brain, you know, riffing and great guitar solos. What else can you ask for from a thrash metal band? Sadus. This is The Shadow Inside. I don't have a vinyl on this one. I don't think it's been released on vinyl, but this is Canadian new wave of traditional heavy metal band Iron Kingdom. This is, gosh, it's got to be their third album at least. This is The Blood of Creation. You can pick this thing up on the band's Bandcamp page. It's hard to find. It's not on a label that I know of. It should be. And if these guys happen to watch this video and are looking for a label, I know one that's interested in putting this out on vinyl, so get hold of me. But anyhow, this is Iron Kingdom, and this is just great, straightforward, bit melodic, heavy metal. Good stuff if you can find a copy. Iron Kingdom's whole catalog is solid, and this one is no exception. Alright, sticking with the melodic stuff. This is Chris Manning, Reach for the Sky. This is the second album on nolifetilmetal Records, which of course many people recognize the name as being, you know, something that I'm part of. So yes, I had a big hand in this one. I did the layout. I did a lot of promotion for this album, but I really enjoyed this thing. I played it over and over again. I have it on CD and vinyl. I played the CD continuously in my car, and I played the vinyl several times as well. So what do you have here? Basically, another hard rock record, like if that Stone Trip album, this one here, kind of in the same style as that, you know. It's got that hard rock sound coming out of the 70s, but it's got a more of a melodic, you know, gosh, it's so hard to put into words music sometimes. I don't know. It's just a really solid melodic hard rock album with great songwriting, fantastic vocals. The vocalist in this band he's just I want to say otherworldly, but he is he could sing in just about any hard rock band and people's jaws would be on the ground. He's just that good. I was going to show I'm going to show the back real quick because you can see a picture of Chris. There's Chris there. Chris Manning, who also plays in a very well-known Zepp tribute band. That picture actually may be from when he was playing with Zepp. I don't know, but yeah. He also on this album has Bruce Kulick, who Bruce and Chris worked together, and Bruce kind of was like the creative consultant for this album. So if you're a big Kiss fan or a big Bruce Kulick fan, he's definitely had a big hand in this one. He does play some solo work on there, but also Tommy Katana from Texas Flood does some guest guitar work on here, and vocalist Chris Hodges is on here as well. Like I said, Chris Hodges, man, the guy, he's just a world-class vocalist, a powerhouse singer. I highly recommend it, and not just because it's on my label. I released a lot of stuff on my label this year, and not all of it made my list, but this album did because I just love it that much, and I played it that much. Again, a lot of this stuff, there's albums I'm not showing that I absolutely love that aren't going to make my list. It doesn't mean, matter of fact, here's one sitting here. I love Enforcer. I think this album is great, and it's called Nostalgia, but it didn't make the list. It doesn't mean I don't like it, or, you know, didn't play it. It's just, you can only do 25, so I really had to be choosy and pick the ones that I played the most this year. This one's not going to come as any surprise to anybody, since I constantly pump in this band. This is Ozra Tentacles, brand new album, Lotus Unfolding. What can I say? They are just one of my favorite prog bands, prog rock, whatever you want to call them. They have no vocals. This album has zero vocals at all. It's just instrumental. This is the kind of stuff I like to put on when I just need to chill. It's the kind of stuff I like to put on when I need to focus on work, but I want to hear some great music in the background. It's just so well done. Ozra Tentacles have been around since the 80s. I highly recommend anything from them. I don't think they ever put out a bad album, but if you want to check out their latest album, Lotus Unfolding, this one is well worth investing in, and it's not uber expensive. You can get it on Amazon. All right, I'm doing good. I'm 20 minutes in, and I'm at number 9. Number 9, Jag Panzer. This is the Hollow. Man, what a return for these guys. They kind of like, I don't know if they broke up or just on hiatus, whatever. It's been a while since we got new music from them. And as much as I love Jag Panzer, I mean, there's no beating their 80s material. But this album, I play this a ton. They really seem to be going for like an old school sound. Even an old school ad campaign, man, they were putting mailers out in the physical mail to people promoting this album. You know, they really pushed this album the right way, and I really appreciate the old school approach to it. Not only the marketing, but to the music itself. Frankly, I think this is one of their best albums since, I don't know, The Fourth Judgment. Maybe it's hard to, you know, hard to say which are the best Jag Panzer albums, but this one here would definitely rank up in my top 5. It's really well done. It is a concept album, but it's not focused on a storyline over the music, which is my problem with some concept albums. Every song on here is very well done, and a lot of these songs have big hooks in them. And I'll be surprised if that one's not on a lot of heavy metal, power metal lists this year, because it's just so well done. Number 8, likewise, Serthunle, epic, you know, doomy, dark, heavy metal. They just continue to do what they do best. I mean, if you don't know who Serthunle are, you probably don't know classic heavy metal, because these guys are, you know, one of those bands that have just been around for a long, long time, inspired many, many other bands. I highly recommend them. I highly recommend this particular album, which is supposed to be their last studio album. Apparently they're breaking up after doing some shows for this album, but which is kind of a shame, because their last few albums have been spectacular. Anyhow, Dark Parade, classic. Love the vocals as usual. He's got that kind of unique, raspy vocals. I don't know. Very unique to very unique to this band. Next up, Primal. Alright, so what am I on there? Number 7. The rest of these albums, if you are surprised by these, then you're probably not on my social media network. Because I've been pimping these albums for a year. And this is one of those ones, you know, I always constantly post, you know, stuff I'm playing before the gym. Stuff I'm playing after the gym. Stuff I'm playing at home. You know, I posted this thing a million times over. It's just one of my favorites from the year. Features members of Hyrax and Heretic, Steel Vengeance, among others. But these guys are all LA thrash metal vets. I'm not going to say this is thrash metal. It's kind of runs that border between thrash and straight up heavy metal. Not unlike, say, Heretic or Reverend. That kind of sound, you know. Very interesting, unique vocals, because vocalist, whose name I always butcher, is from Argentina, and he sang in popular Argentinian bands like Logos and V8. Let's see if I can pronounce the name correctly here. Yeah, I got the first name down. It's Alberto, but it's I always struggle with that last name, boy. Zamarbide. There you go. Anyhow, here's a picture of the band. Again, this one's on nolifetilmetal Records, so you know, I'm sure some people will accuse me of just self-promotion. But again, like I said, I put out a lot of releases this year. This is just one of them, and if I was really going to promote my own releases only, this would have been number 1, and the other, Chris Manning, would have been number 2, you know, and that kind of thing. No, it's not about that. I just really, really enjoyed this album. Played it quite a bit. Glenn Rogers is a riff master. He's one of my favorite guitar players, one of my favorite songwriters. So, great album, Primal. That's the second album from Primal. This band is one like I'm a little late to the game on. This is their 4th album, and this is the first one I had heard from them, so I picked this one up and was blown away. Several people were like, dude, you need to check out the new Witch Hazel. So I broke down and bought a vinyl copy of it. Wow. Fantastic UK heavy metal. Very much inspired by the likes of Thin Lizzy, UFO. It's got that kind of, you know, 70s influence, even though I wouldn't say it sounds like 70s hard rock or 70s heavy metal. It's definitely more of the new wave of traditional heavy metal sound, but it's got those influences in it. So very melodic, fantastic vocals. I liked it so much I immediately started looking for the rest of their albums. So I think I'm missing 1 of their full-length albums now, and maybe 2 of their singles. So yeah, I've been looking hard for this stuff from these guys. Great band from the UK, Witch Hazel. This one is called 4 Sacraments. So Witch Hazel 4 Sacrament. All right, now we're getting up to number 5. So this is the top 5. Yeah. All right. You know, obviously, my love of thrash metal will be apparent here. This is the new Angelus Apatrida. Again, another, for some reason, I always have a tough time pronouncing that last name, Apatrida. I think I'm pronouncing it right, finally. But Aftermath is the name of the new album. Thrash metal. A little bit of a modern edge here and there, but for the most part, just straight up, hammer to the brain, thrash metal. I mean, that riffing. It's just another one of those albums that makes you want to get up and just play some rhythm guitar, you know, on your air guitar. It's that good. Really, really enjoyed this album. Played it a ridiculous amount of times this year, and this is a band I've been into for, you know, several years now, and just everything they seem to put out, I just enjoy. Which again, you know, probably has something to do with the fact that I love thrash metal so much, but I just love that that sound, that style, that riffing, you know, that aggression. Thrash metal has, you know, the heaviness and the aggression and all that sort of thing, but it doesn't lack in melody and hooks and, you know, stuff you could sing along to. So I think it's probably why I like it so much, because it's got that nice mix of all that. Number 4, definitely returned to form with Udio's Touchdown. Now, my only criticism I've heard from other people is they hate the album cover, and why is a German vocalist putting football as, you know, the theme with the band all dressed in football outfits. Who the heck cares? What does that have to do with anything? Matter of fact, Accept, I don't even think they live in Germany anymore. I think Accept themselves live in the United States, but I don't know, I could be wrong. That's what I've heard. I have no idea where Udio lives. Who cares? If he enjoys football and thinks it was a cool concept for the band, I have nothing against it. What I care about is the music, and the music is exactly what I want to hear from Udio. I mean, I literally think I have not loved a Udio album as much as I've loved this one since Holy. I mean, I've liked a lot of stuff he's done since Holy. I buy everything he puts out, but Holy was just one of those I hold in high opinion of, and Touchdown as well I hold in very high opinion. Some of his albums from the last few years didn't even make my top list, so that tells you how much I think this one has, been a return to form. Great production too. That's another problem that Udio's had with, he's had some very, what's the word I'm looking for? Clinical, I don't know, just, it sounds very digital, you know what I mean? It doesn't have an organic sound, and I think this one has more of an organic heavy metal sound. It may have been recorded digitally, I have no freaking clue. All I know is I enjoyed this one a lot, and the production was great. Number 3. Alright, now, I argue with myself over number 3 and number 2. And I'm still arguing with myself. I love this record, but I love the next one too, so these could be really interchangeable. New Overkill, this is Scorched. Holy crap, man, this album's great. This is probably one of the best albums these guys have done in years. Saw them on tour, and this is a ticket stub sitting back here. Yeah, this is a great album. Every track on here will get your head to banging, get you playing the air guitar, all the kind of stuff you want from heavy metal. Just get your blood flowing. If I had any criticism of this album at all, it's got nothing to do with the music or the artwork or any of that stuff. It's, again, one of those albums that they split onto 2 records, and you've got 3 songs on side A, 2 songs on side B, 2 songs on side D. And it's not like these are extended long songs, like, a 15-minute song, which is you would expect to be on one side. No, it's not. So it's almost like playing, two EPs, because you got to keep flipping over the record. Minor complaint, because the music is just so good. Overkill Scorched easily could have been at number 2, even could have been at number 1, except my number 1, I played so much, it's annoying. Anyhow, Overkill Scorched. Raven at number 2. All Hell's Breaking Loose. Man, if you like those first 3 Raven albums from 80, 81, 82, you're going to love this album. It brings back the speed, the mania, the rawness, everything, those high-pitched, crazy vocals from John Gallagher. And it's got the hooks where you hear the song, you walk out of the room, and the song is stuck in your brain, and you're singing it over and over again. It's got that going on. Plus, it's got fantastic cover art, great layout. There's just nothing about this album I don't love. I saw Raven twice in the last few years. They were great live. Both times there was barely anybody there, which I don't get, because these guys are such a classic band. When I saw them in California, there was maybe, and I mean maybe, 50 people in the room. I saw him also in Georgia. Granted, this was at the end of COVID, so people were still scared and hiding at home, and there was maybe 30 people in the room. But both shows, wow, they put on an incredible show. These guys play their butts off, man. They walk off on stage and they are drenched. They just play that hard, and they're just so good. But this album is so well done. Like I said, if you're a fan of the early Raven albums, do yourself a favor, check this album out. You won't be disappointed. It's just a great record from Raven. Alright, coming at number 1. This one will be no surprise to anybody who's followed me on social media this year, because I've shown this thing a bazillion times over, because I played it a bazillion times over. This is Anger is Art, Virtual Sympathy. Thrash metal, LA thrash band. This is their 7th album, maybe their 6th. Their last album was kind of a live album with some studio tracks on it, but regardless, this is a band I've been touting for years. They are so underrated. I don't understand why the thrash metal community doesn't grab onto these guys like they do all these older classic bands. I mean, who is Anger's art? It's Steve Gaines of Abattoir, Bloodlust fame, among others. You know, one of LA's thrash veterans. Their second guitar player's name is Albert Gonzalez from Evil Dead, and then their drummer, who has been with this band, I believe, since the very first day, is Rob Allenez, also from Evil Dead. So you've got two members of Evil Dead, a member from Abattoir, thrash metal legends, both those bands, and that combined is Anger's art, and this is easily my favorite album from them. I like their past stuff, but they just found something here, man. They've got a style, they've got a hook. I mean, the riffs, again, this is one of those Jackhammer to the brain thrash metal albums where you're going to be wanting a riffing along on your air guitar, headbanging along, tapping your toes. It's just so good. Do yourself a favor, check it out. They really deserve the #1 slot in my list anyhow. Anger's art, Virtual Sympathy. That's it. So that's my list for 2023. Leave a message below. Let me know what you think. Maybe post your list if you have one. Let me know what you think of any of these, or if you think that I'm crazy for some of them. Any comment. I'm interested in reading it, and I will try to reply back to all. I usually do. That's it. Appreciate you all watching. God bless. Stay strong, and Happy New Year.